Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first ever live interview here on the podium. I am your host, Joshua Ross, and with us today is a very special guest, Coach Martin Hanselmann of the Wurzburg Panthers. Welcome, Coach. How are you today?
Hello, thank you, Joshua. I'm all right. The weather is fine and things going well.
That is awesome to hear. So, Coach, from what I understand, you've had a pretty illustrious career to date. Both as a player and as a coach. Can you kind of just give us a quick rundown on your experience?
Yes. Well, as a player, I started in 1982. We started here in a small community in Rothenburg with the Knights. This was my first American football practice, and we didn't have so many teams here in Germany and Europe at this time. So we started out in the second league because we had just two leagues, and we were pretty successful. And I came from track, was a runner and a sprinter, so it was very good to see another sport. And I don't know why, but football just got me, and I found very much interest in the sport, and so I came more and more into the game. We learned a lot from players who were soldiers here in Europe. This is how we learned the game first, and then more and more got involved. I spent time in the United States then, and after my player career, I started a coaching career. That's pretty much it. And I started coaching, and I was very fortunate to meet Coach Bob Nielsen from South Dakota, who became a very good friend since many years, and I was always there as a host and a coach there at his stations and his colleges, and so the NFL Europe started in Europe. I got involved with the NFL Europe, and so we learned more and more about the game, and after a while, I think football growth in Germany and Europe a lot. Yeah.
So, obviously, having that kind of beginning and really learning to love the game from our soldiers, what led you into actually playing, and how did you enjoy your playing career?
That's an interesting question, Joshua. When I think back, it's just the physical part of the game. We have soccer here, and we knew at this time, we knew basketball and other sports. But the physical part of the game and the strategy and the athletic ability. So all these things, what you need as a player was very fascinating for me during that time, I think.
Mm-hmm. Great. Yeah, that's the same reasons a lot of us here in the States got into the game.
Yeah.
So transitioning into your coaching, which is where you really burst onto the scene as someone, as a mentor and as a pillar for the game in Germany. When did that part of your career start?
It starts in 92 when a friend of mine and a very, very good football player, Erich Grau, asked me helping him with the youth team. And so I started as an assistant coach with the youth team. We had a combined practices with our team and a team in the neighborhood. So this is when I started, and I found out that coaching is really something I like to do. It's just giving young people what I learned and what I love. So this is pretty much the first step in coaching. And then very early after that, I took over the program here with the Knights and with a couple of friends and good people and a good organization. We worked our way up, and we made it to the Division I, the GFL, and we played pretty successful during that time in the GFL.
That's awesome to hear. Where else have you coached along your journey? What other stops?
After that, I coached the national team. In 2000, the German Football Federation asked me, being the head football coach of their national team, I took that job, and then we won in 2001. We won the European Championship. We had a great World Championship in 2003, and then the World Games in 2005. After the career as head coach of the national team, I was in Düsseldorf with the Panthers, coached them a couple of years, and were pretty successful in the GFL. Build up the program again, and then in Nuremberg, coached 1 year in Nuremberg in the GFL too, and after that in Cologne in the GFL. These are pretty much my stops during my coaching career.
Something you had mentioned about the national team. A lot of our viewers who are from the United States don't have a good concept of the World Games as it comes to American football and at the national level like it is in Europe. Can you kind of explain the competition level of the national teams to our American viewers?
Well, I know that it's not very familiar in the United States having a national team, and especially American football is probably hard to explain. But we have the system and the structure that we have national teams, and it is tough to get the players together in a short time period and put your system, install your system and play good games. I think this is pretty much the most complicated thing what we had during that time. To explain it, how it works for us is that we want to compete our countries here in Europe, like France, Great Britain, Sweden, Italy. It is just a part of our history and culture that we have competitions in that way, and so that's the reason why we have these national teams, and it's worldwide. We play Japan, we play Australia, and during the World Games we played Australia. What was a great game, and you meet other people, other football players, other coaches. It is always a great competition.
That's great. Yeah, it's something that for us in the United States we don't necessarily have the greatest concept of, but it's a very interesting idea. Now we would love to see that explode to another level. I know we touched on it previously, but other than the physical part, what other interests did you have in American football? Really got your blood boiling for the sport of American football?
Well, there are some aspects. I had one time we had a conversation with very good coaches like Bob Nielsen, Brian Ward, and Jeff Reinbold, and we just were sitting and talking about football. And some, I don't know why, but some of us just asked, what is fascinating you in the sport? And there are a couple of things. I think one thing is, for me, when you start a season, you got 70 players out there, different people, different kind of people. And it's fascinating to see how you can build a team with so many different people and players. And at the end of the season, hopefully, it really works like a team. Everybody works together. Everybody believes in what you're doing as a group. And I think this is, for me, a very fascinating thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's how most of us feel, both as players and coaches. A lot of that can take a toll on you and can really wear you down season after season. So what has been your motivation to continue on this journey and be one of the best coaches year in and year out?
Well, I think it's just the passion of the game and the belief in young people. Just believing that young people need somebody who give them directions in that sport and give them directions and help them and explain them how you can become better and you can improve yourself. I think this is a big part for myself that I stay in. Coaching is just working with these young men and see how much fun they can have on and off the field. And that's a big motivation to do that. And honestly, I have fun by myself doing that.
We all can say the same thing. Just want to take a quick note. I see that some of our viewers have some questions. We're going to take a quick second after the end. We're going to go to a little Q&A. Yeah. So Marcus, we haven't forgot your question. We see you, buddy. We see you. Now let's get to another interesting topic. You are now the head coach for the Wurzburg Panthers, as you were last year. Give us how did last season turn out?
Well, Well, let's start with our first thing is how I came to Wurzburg Panthers. It was a 4-18, and a friend of mine here, because it's close to my hometown, just invited me to a practice after I stopped coaching with the Falcons. So I went by and we talked a little bit, and he asked me, "Can you come more often?" I said, "Yeah, okay, good, I do that." And then he said, "Hey, what about supporting the program there?" So one step to another step, and we did pretty well last year, and we won the championship. Now we're in the Division 3 right now, and we got a good preparation this year, and I think the team is ready. We got our first season game tomorrow. The kids are great. We got more than 90 players, signed player passes, and they have fun with what they're doing, and this is what you want as a coach.
Mm-hmm. How do you believe you stack up in the league? I know from some research I've done to that division, there's some pretty good teams with like the Franken Knights and Strawwing Spiders. How do you see your program stacking up to those teams this year?
Wow, this is one of the secrets I honestly don't know, because I haven't played in the Division 3 before, so I have no idea. We saw a little bit of video, and I hear some there and something there. Some of my coaches tell me this is how it will happen and this is what's going on. And there's not a lot of recruiting. What I have to say is, it's different. I see it with different eyes. Is that in the league are a lot of American players going around, and teams in the third league really invest money for American players, and I thought, okay, it's more a type of the German things, and but it will become a pretty good competition. What I saw, and our guys are not Division 1 players. We played against the Dresden Monarchs a preseason game, and we got our butts kicked, and the guys but now know what could be and what could they do when they practice hard, and the Division 1 is not. There are no players. They are different than these guys. They all work. They all go to university or all that. So they see right now what they can do, and we will see how we do in the league. We are pretty young in the league. It's a young team. First of all, we hope we can stay in the league. That's the first goal we have, and we go out and try to win every game. That's what we do.
Sir, now going forward, and understand that you're a young team, and understand that it could possibly end up being a very tough division to play within. How do you see this season leading up to future aspirations you have for this program?
Well, first of all, this year we need an organization. I saw it a couple of times in Germany that the aspect of the athletic part runs away, and the organization always has to run behind that. And we don't want to have that. We want to build up a good organization, a good structure. So for us, it was more important to have a coach's office. We have a meeting room for the players, and the club there did all that. So we have a coach's office there. We have a meeting room. We have facilities where we can practice. We have fields where we can practice. And these are the main things for this season. And on the other side, like I said, we need to win a couple of games and be successful. And we want to show our fans and spectators good football games.
Okay. All right. Now, moving on to development and building up athletes, not just within your program, but in the country of Germany and Europe as a whole. You run coaching clinics, and I know from what I heard they're pretty well thought of. Can you kind of briefly describe how you got into starting these coaching clinics?
Yeah, the idea, and I have to be honest, it wasn't really my idea. Coach Andy Meyer is the guy who's running the 24/7 football school. And he asked me one day what I think about that, and I think it's a great idea to do that. We do clinics And now we start with a type of high school clinics with coaches from the United States, because we believe that football knowledge needs to spread out more here in Germany. And so we do all these type of clinics for players with a football school, and also coaches clinics. There's one big coaches clinic. It's a coaches convention we do with the Bavarian Football Federation once a year. It's probably the biggest one in Europe. We don't know exactly, but we think it's the biggest one. We got more than 200 coaches signed in. It's a great location, and top speakers, what we have from the United States and Europe, great coaches. It's always a great class. That's always in January, and during the year, we're doing all these clinics for coaches. Now the next one in July is with Clay Iverson from the United States, who comes over. He's a very good friend and a very good high school coach there. He played in 99 and 2000 here for me in Germany. Then he became a coach. He's the high school coach of J.J. Watt, and now he's coming back year by year and helping out here football. What is really a great thought from Clay, that he helps us here all the time.
Yeah, and it really shows you how tight-knit the coaching field is, even worldwide. Now, do you have any success stories or any great stories from these coaching clinics, having these coaches come over and then just seeing the eyes of your athletes just open up? Like, is there anything to that nature that's happened, or something else?
We had, well, I don't know whether it's funny. It's just we had a clinic up in Cologne one time with Coach Ken Anderson and Clay Iverson, and we thought, well, they were just for youth players, and there will not show up a lot of players, and then there were a group of players, and we didn't really took a special age when we said that you can come or not, and then we had a 10-year-old kid there, and this kid. We had one coach, and Ken Anderson really worked with him, and Clay Iverson worked with that kid, and he was just with his parents, and his father was there and standing around, and this little kid was just impressed from 120 players, but he never quit. He made all the things with him, and we always asked him, "You're fine, you're okay," and I think this was one of the stories I really thought that it's so great to work with these coaches and working with the players. When you see that a kid with 10 years is coming up to a clinic, wants to learn American football, and he really put so much effort in it. This was tremendous. A great kid.
And those are the kind of stories that really show that this game as a whole really can build a young athlete's character and even improve his life overall with the skills that he learns in this game. While we're on the topic of coaching, we do have a question from one of our viewers, Marius. He asked whether or not these coaching clinics are for all players, or is it just youth players?
It always depends. Sometimes we do it for adult players, and sometimes we do it for youth players. The high school camp is just for youth players. The reason for that is that really young kids got high school coaches there, and they want to explain them what it takes to become better. Because we found out that so many kids have the dream playing in the U.S. One time, and for that, if you see it from the athletic point, that kids needs to start earlier to get enough repetitions on football specific movements. Some of the guys are really start too late, and so the reason about the high school camps is just getting young kids involved in American football and have a camp and show them what they're doing in high schools and what they have to learn to become better, and maybe to realize their dream playing at college, on a college level. Now,
we know that the camp, there's other camps across Europe that also do this, that help lead athletes to college scholarships. But has there been any push for getting these young athletes scholarships to go to high school here in the United States to play? I know with my local high school, it's done, but it's more at in soccer or football, as you in Europe call it. But we haven't seen it so much quite yet in American football. Is that a goal or aspiration you have, or your program has with these coaching clinics?
No, honestly, not really. It's just we want to realize them what it takes to become an athlete. And if they want to go to a high school, well, we would use our contacts for them. But I really want to say that what our goal is really getting young players in a structure that they can play American football very good here in Europe, find the way to get the balance between school, work, and American football. Because the dream of playing college and then going to the NFL, because this is the dream. It's not just some of them I know really want to go to college and make their degree there. Most of them just want to play football. But the main thing is for young people is just getting their degree. And if they stay in Germany, they can go to university and also playing football in the GFL and have a great career. But to get that is they need the athletic abilities and they need the repetitions of specific movements in American football early enough. And I think this is a vacuum we have in Europe, as we start too late to get all these repetitions an athlete needs.
Yes, sir. I agree. I agree as well. It's just so important to start at a young age.
Yes.
Now we're going to open it up to some other questions that pertain to other subjects we had talked about earlier. Marcus Sims asked, how does someone become a part of a national team?
Well, during my career as a national coach, we had some tryouts for athletes. These were open tryouts, and we invited a lot of people. Then the coaches really get a lot of films, watching the videos and see that. And another big point is really when a coach really tells a national coach, hey, I got a kid at my place. I remember during the World Games in 2005, we got a linebacker from a third league team, great linebacker, really great linebacker and a great person. And we took him, and he was very successful in the national team and played third league. So I feel a lot of that is, in my aspect, is coaches who tell you, I got a kid there, you should have a look at him. And these things is what we are really doing.
Last thing, what is your way too early Super Bowl champion prediction?
Wow. That's a big question. I really love successful programs, and I don't have a special NFL team, but I think the Dallas Cowboys with Mark Michocha will win the Super Bowl this year.
Oh, that hurts. And after spending my time up in Maine, being all around the Patriots fans, as much as I despise them right now,
yeah,
I have to go with New England. It hurts, but I have to go with New England.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
It hurts. So, well, guys, that is the end of our show. I would like to thank Coach Martin Hanselmann again for spending time with us. It was a great conversation. Learned a lot about you, learned a lot about the Wurzburg Panthers, and more about just football and GFL. Thank you, sir. Thanks for being with us.
Cool. Yeah.
And until next time, stay classy, y'all. I guess y'all are going to stay with us a little longer while be live and broadcast.
Well, maybe you can tell one of your stories as a college player.